Welcome to a new episode of The Check-In. That is like now at the, I think, 5th episode, which is pretty good.
Wow.
We're checking in with a lot of people. We're very prolific here at Framework.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I am good. 5 is a lot. Well done to everyone who has
who had the time
spoken.
to actually sit in front of a Zoom call, which is something we don't do a lot of during these times, right? Like no one does it. This is like revolutionary, groundbreaking idea of spending time on Zoom.
I'd be so interested to see the books of Zoom, just to see how much more money they've made in the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
I reckon it'd just be insane.
Crazy. But I think I read some figures because the other day I was looking at how certain apps got a gigantic boost of downloads and subscriptions and all of this. And I think that I think it was in March, they had 76 million new users.
Wow.
My question is, how do you do it with your servers? What is your server room like? Where are you ready for this kind of stuff? It's crazy.
That's a good point, isn't it? But I guess they'd have an influx of people using it at the same time, but you're not going to have 76 million people on it at the same time. Surely not. Maybe they do.
Surely not. But at the same time, right now, everyone's using Zoom calls. All of the activities that before didn't require it. So, I don't know, online teaching, conferencing for work. Even there's people, okay, I get overexcited about this, but even just one of my roommates, and she has a normal job, not a creative, I create content kind of thing. She's got a job.
Person.
Yeah, and she works in HR. She is constantly on a Zoom call, all day long. Her work day is 2 massively long Zoom calls with the team she works with. So I imagine she wouldn't be the only one.
No, that's my dad does the same thing actually. They use Skype, which, they're all right.
It is all right. It is the worst.
Yeah. I just a quick tangent for you. Once upon a time I was doing a project with this investor group that wanted to have an auto-generated video project. So it was essentially that I would conduct an interview with somebody like an investor in Hong Kong about some investment that they were going to do. Yeah. And they wanted it to essentially spit out an edit at the other end. So it would have B-roll, video overlays, motion graphic overlays done as it's being recorded sort of thing. Wow. So the way it was meant to happen, the recording feed would come in, it would go directly into After Effects where it would get essentially get templated, slot into these different spots. Yeah. And then get exported and then re-imported into another thing where subtitles be added. And then it was this sort of big, long, extended project.
What a gargantuan load of work.
Yeah, it was insane. It took me 6 months to set up. But the reason it took me 6 months to set up was the people made me use this thing called a Skype TX box. Okay. And the Skype TX box is essentially, if you were going to run broadcast calls, on the news, it's a box that goes into into a cage or, so that you can set it up and plug it in with your render farm or your servers or whatever. So it was a tray mount. And the idea was that the calls would go into that so you could have 5 or 6 people on a call at the same time and they would all be recorded individually. That was the point of it, that box. Yeah. It was not to do this really convoluted thing. We didn't even need this box. This box cost $20,000 and they were no, you have to use this thing. So I had to I had to make this this whole convoluted process with a thing that it wasn't made for, and it didn't work, and it ended up not working. And it was a waste of 6 months. So well done, Skype, you doodles.
You doodles, pretty much. That is the technical term to refer to someone that works at Skype. I agree. Yeah. Is Skype owned by Microsoft?
I think so. No, because they have Microsoft Teams. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. But until this very moment, I was pretty certain that it was a Microsoft-owned enterprise. Turns out, we will check on that. We'll check in after we check on that.
That's a Josh Dycraft question, I reckon. He would know.
Yeah,
and true. He would know the owners of each company, and I'm sure he knows them personally as well.
All of them, yes. Well, Dale, thank you so much for being with us. I just realized that I didn't tell anyone that you are Dale Branda, the head and the heart behind Stacked Content.
Stacked Content, that's me. Yeah, it's good. It's fun. And obviously being in Framework, part of that community as well. stacked ourselves. We're pretty small. We've done a lot of work together as well. So
like how I kind of know the answer to this question already, but it's worth asking. Since the outbreak of the virus and the lockdowns and all of that, how has your business been like affected? Are you in the same boat as I am of the like, hey, I am free of charge, free of everything. I have time. I have nothing to do pretty much all day long.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because yes, so work has dried up, as I think for most creative it has. But I think that's work in the traditional sense. So, like clients are not calling me and saying, I want this video. Well, that being said, we do have a few videos that are sort of due to be released over the next few weeks, and there is a little bit of stuff happening. But for the most part, new leads are not coming in. However, I actually feel more busy now. And this is what Josh said the other day as well. Feel more busy now because there's so much more on my shoulders. Like I need to do more things to get the leads.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas in the past, it was just you do the jobs and then you find the leads as you find the leads, as opposed to just focusing on finding leads or, there was more of a balance. So I actually feel like I need to be doing more and I'm more anxious because if I'm not doing it, I can't control it and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's probably not an uncommon feeling to.
Yeah. Well, like I agree. And like, it's interesting to see how differently this whole situation affected different businesses and different type of businesses. Like the way you lead and you like make your business go changes with a problem like this one. For example, in my case, it's like the load of work that I've always handled. It's always been preparing for a shoot, shooting, editing, and delivery. So right now, being that the main area, so the shooting part cannot take place, I still like entertain conversations with my clients and potential people that wanted to shoot with me and people that cancel with me saying like, hey, by the way, is there anything we can do? Someone asked me if we could do a remote photo shoot, to which I had to like kind of say, I don't think we can, because the biggest limit that I would have in creating some headshots through someone else's webcam is that the final quality of the picture is very much dependent on the webcam itself. Also, it would be super funny to see people just like moving around with the computer at my direction. Not just closer to the light, like a little bit lower. And
trying to roll your shoulders back, chin out, trying to do all that while you're holding the thing. Yeah.
And now after 20 minutes of setup, be natural. And it's like, So with the main part missing, I don't feel like I'm working a lot. So like I'm doing things, I'm keeping busy, but it doesn't feel like work. Like the main parts that I see as work are now missing. But it allows for like opening new roads to creativity, to ideas. I have a lot more time to think. I'm producing 1,000 ideas a day, 999 of which are pure garbage. And I have to like catch myself before I do them. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes and how long it lasts, more or less.
Yeah, my favorite quote from Gary Vaynerchuk, the marketing guru, which I'm not a massive fan of generally, but the one quote that I always go back to is ideas are shit. It's all about execution.
Yeah.
And he essentially talks about that all the time, is that it doesn't, like you could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have the team of people or the skill set to actually execute on that idea, like who cares? You know what I mean? You could have a mediocre idea, but just an excellent team, and it turns into something pretty phenomenal, So, ideas are great. I don't necessarily completely agree with the sentiment that ideas are shit, because I genuinely think that a good idea will take you a whole lot of the way.
I think a good idea will attract the right people as well.
Yeah.
There's something crucial about like having this sexy, cool idea, something new, something that feels like, whoa, I'm part of something and I want to be part of it, that attracts the people that you kind of need. So if the idea itself is strong enough, yes, it will work. But with a mediocre idea or like an average idea, of course, the execution becomes everything. Also because, I don't know, how many times do you think of something that has never been thought of before? It's always like a variation of an existing thing. And so in that case, execution becomes crucial. Whereas
that's very philosophical. That's very philosophical of you, because there is an entire possibility that every single thought you had today is completely unique. Like that's entirely possible as well.
Trust me, no. I checked. I did the math. No.
Ham is pink. Is that what when you went to the fridge, that was what you said?
Ham is pink.
You don't eat. What? Ham is pink. That was randomly, that was the first thing that came to my head. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. What if I started drawing ham, but instead of red, I use pink? Oh, no, it's the same. Or orange. Oh. No, I agree. But I don't know. I hope this. I can't say that I feel, but I hope that out of this time that we have to spend with limitations in place, I don't know, something good will come out for every creative. This will affect us in different ways, and maybe the fruits of what we think of now will arrive 6 months from now, a year from now. But there's got to be something that will change in the way we all think, because we have so much time, so much, even just so much stress, so much doubt, so much fear. Like it's impossible that we won't funnel it into something.
Do you know what? I was thinking about that this morning, and what I've really weirdly appreciated about this is like I have time to actually think about those thoughts, like to actually consider it, and not just like either brush it away or like, okay, I need some time to think about, like I need to find some time to think about that because it's a good idea. Like now it's like each idea I can be like, maybe, like I don't have to just
them.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel like I'm, bouncing around all the time, which partly is something that I think I pride myself on, is my ability to sort of multitask and sort of identify issues over a wide range of projects. And that's why I like running a business. But the more that I get this slower down, I'm sort of liking it a little bit. I'm also getting incredibly anxious all the time because I've got too much time to think. But
that's the other thing. Well, I guess you and I are very similar in this sense that we are very much action people. We're not like big plan, like seeing the big picture kind of thing. We're just driven by action, driven by making decisions, activating on them, finding the right people, creating tasks for others, and putting teams together. Like all of those things require like a small problem with an immediate solution instead of a gigantic problem with infinite solutions that you have seemingly unlimited time to apply. Because if I find a solution today or tomorrow, it's not going to change that much how this whole process works. Whereas if I'm shooting something, the solution has to happen right now. I do not have any other time to make this call kind of thing. And I thrive in that environment, and I think you do as well. And then all of a sudden, we have all of this time. And it's just like, well, what am I going to do? Not in the next hour. What am I going to do this month? It feels overwhelming.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's an issue that I fall into all the time. Like when I don't have time, is there that when I get anxious, I overthink. And anyone who's worked closely with me from a business perspective will absolutely let you know that I overthink everything when given the opportunity to. If there's not, and it's so for instance, if I'm running a workshop with a client, for instance, and from any capacity, but it could be business consultation all the way to content consultancy, whatever it is, even if it's just a brainstorming session. In those environments, it's very quick. It's just like, here's an idea, here's a solution, here's a solution, here's a solution. But then when given the opportunity to think about it, or even, if it's just in a meeting with myself and my business partners, I'll say an idea. And then as I'm saying the idea, I'm like, yeah, but then this will happen. And then this will happen. And then that'll happen. And then this will happen. So I better not do it. No. And then by the time I finish that first idea, I've essentially said to them, it's a bad idea. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And, and it's just like this thing. So there's got to be that balance. Like, and I guess that's where I like now that I'm able to sort of run through that process of denying it to myself and saying, no, it's not a great idea. And then going, hang on a second, that's all silly, or that is not silly. Or, I'm able to then take it another step, which I've never been able to do because I don't have time. I don't think anyone has time to do that normally because it's, how many times do you just sit there? Like, how many times have you, like in the last 2 weeks, just like sat there?
Oh, most of the time.
Like I've never just sat there. Yeah. Like this morning, I dropped my child off at childcare. I went home and I was just like, I sat on my couch and I just had my coffee. I didn't have the TV on. I didn't do anything. Like I didn't feel like I needed to, escape from my brain or anything. I just sat there and had my coffee and came to work. I was like, what? Well, what is this?
I was reading different articles because one of the things that I'm trying to escape the most is that net of only reading news about coronavirus, about the situation, about the economy. Is just, you don't want to constantly be in that headspace. So I know that I do it when I wake up in the morning, just because I'm checking what is happening in Italy. And then I do it at night just to check what happened here. That's about it. Yeah. And all the other time I'm trying to read or consume content that is not related to the situation. And one of the things that was,
it's a downer.
Yeah, it does. Like it brings you into a weird headspace where you feel trapped and you can't escape, and you don't want that. Like that can't breed anything good, right? So what I've been trying to read is more things about how can we use this time? What is the myth of productivity and how we are obsessed with needing to be productive? Even you and I are just now talking about it. We started this conversation 5 minutes ago and we're both kind of like struggling to explain what our problem is with not doing the things we want to do or we normally do. And one very important or better, like one very interesting point that I read is that we are losing the chance to experience boredom for the first time, to just sit in it. Like all of our lives have always been like a constant push towards something because the effects of our actions were just there, right close to us. If I did this right, I would have had this effect. If I don't know, get in touch with this many people, I will have this much outcome, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, I don't know, we can kind of go back into a more childish situation where we can sit on our bed and go like, yeah, now let's just allow my thoughts to entertain me. Has that window always had that shape? Has it always been that way? Like exploring things that way. And I think that there is some reality in it. Like the escape from boredom, which is not necessarily like a bad thing all the time. We should allow ourselves to just chill a bit more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep going back to talking about anxiety and feeling anxious about it all, because I think it's something that a lot of creatives sort of suffer with, and I do myself, is that generally when I get bored is when I get the most anxious, because it's when I'm lost. I get lost in my own thoughts and all the rest. That's why this morning was such a big thing for me, sitting there, and I didn't get lost in my thoughts. I didn't go, I wasn't questioning something that I did the day before or worried about the 1,000 tasks that I had to do that day or whatever. It was just like, you know what, when I go and do work today, I can do the work that I want to do. And I haven't even thought of that yet. Like I can just go and do the stuff, whatever comes to my mind. Like when we spoke about doing this recording today, I thought, you know what, I'll do a recording before I do with Nico. I'll make a little clip about the types of content that people can create, and wrote a little script and did it. And I would never have time to do that in the past, and I would never have the capacity to get to the point where I feel confident enough to just do it, because I've got so much other stuff to think about. So yeah, the freedom of headspace, I think, is huge for me as a creative. I'm really interested to see how it affects me in the future. And will it have a negative effect when things start to pick up again? Will I then be like, I need more space now. I need to have more time to have that feeling again, and that to be relaxed and whatever. And do I need to change routine? And so this is me getting to that overthinking thing right now. Yeah. Where I'm just like, and then I've got to do this, but then that, and then this. So I'm interested to see where it goes. And fortunately, there's a large community of people that are going through a whole lot that we can do it together. So not fortunate that we're going through it, but fortunately we're going through it together. So things like this, well done to you for doing this little check-in, because I think it's valuable for us to hear other people's thoughts and where they're at, and we're not alone, and we've got an opportunity to help each other in as many ways as we can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Framework has always been that place. It's not just a co-working space. It's a place where we share Everything. So like even concerns and like solutions, and there's always been a big dialogue. And I think that like keeping that dialogue alive is something that I value as highly important at this moment. I know that I am not alone in this. I know that there are so many people that are going through a variation of the same thing. And at the same time, I know that there is a bunch of people that have cool ideas that might work when mixed with mine, and vice versa. So out of that, keeping that collaboration alive is important. Speaking of which, you are in Framework right now.
I am
because I usually ask about the setup, but I think that it's pretty obvious for everyone that you're in the cage.
I am in the cage. So I've had this little this sort of little live stream set up in here for about a week and a half now. Set it up. You might have seen the little recording I did with Hanny last week.
Yes, it was brilliant. I told you in the chat. I told you after. I will repeat it now. It was brilliant. Super cool. So well executed. Hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful when you've got an expert like Hanny to sit on the other side and actually deliver the content. And yeah, we there's a few pieces of tech that we've got that are sort of enable us to be able to do it, and obviously being in a good space. And one of the big things was trying to find a way that we can execute on some content like that, some live streaming content, and sort of abide by some sort of social distancing. So that's why you can see here, I'm up the end of the cage here. At the other table, at the other end of the table is where the other person will sit, and if I was going to conduct an interview or something, because there's a strong possibility that these sort of social distancing laws are going to be in place for a few months at least. Hopefully for me, they get slightly more relaxed.
Same,
and
of course,
and not completely locked down, and the fact that back to where we can have a few people in the similar sort of space, because then this sort of live stream setup then becomes available for me to be able to run, a plethora of different types of content with people, be able to conduct interviews with people, even just me as a tech operator, be able to facilitate people to do the things, for you to come in and run some workshops through here, or interview some other photographers, or, whatever it is. Like there's so much opportunity for us to be able to do it. But right now it's a little bit limited unless, currently it's just me in the office. So, it's not like I can just go and grab someone and say, hey, let's go and do a live stream and talk about a thing. So hopefully we get to a point where it's a little bit more available. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really nice space. We know how beautiful Framework is anyway. So it makes it this is the type of content. I like seeing good, pretty content, and I like engaging content. And I think if we've got it looking pretty and sounding good, we're at least some of the way there to creating good stuff. So
100%. And you have the luck of still being one of the few people that uses Framework. Obviously, it's not like it's limited for others. It's just that, for example, myself, like I limited myself because I know that if I start coming there and then other people do, we'll find ourselves like 10 or 12 of us still using Framework. And then it's kind of like vain, not vain, sorry, but it vanishes, like the whole social distancing thing we're doing. But it's good that you're sticking to it, and I guess it's a good thing for you as well, because you have your home like mindset with your is it your wife or your girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Anyways, like your partner and your kid and all this, and you can have like a divide between the two worlds. Like one of the things that I'm struggling with, and most people that I talk to for this series, is that like now I'm home. Home is where I play, where I eat, where I spend time with my loved ones. How do I work here? How do I create the boxes and make sure they don't interact too much together?
Yeah, I hear. And, fortunately for me with video, it takes up a lot of space. Anyone watching who's done any video before, that you need gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff. In my instance, I need terabytes and terabytes worth of space.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult to cart around unless you have some sort of NAS storage, network assisted storage. And that's what I've got here, and it's difficult to move around. So it sort of forces me to have to come in. It's not impossible for me to then go and do the things at home. It just means that I would need to be more coordinated with what and how I take home and all the rest. And I also have a couple of issues with the logic board on my computer at home. So that's another issue. But so I sort of, my point is, I sort of, I have to some degree be here. So fortunate for me because then I essentially get the space to myself, which is good. It's lonely as shit because it's the best part of Framework is the people in it. So
100%. If it was like a parking lot, it would have the same exact value of it being like the beautiful co-working space that it is. Like as long as we keep all the people together, then like what we all seek from the place works.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good spot. And hopefully we all get an opportunity to be back here soon. And hopefully the government is nice enough that they can cover rent and things like that. Because, there's a real reality that who pays for rent? If we're not here, who pays for rent? And obviously that's not an issue that we need to deal with. It's obviously for Nick and Francis and Kim, unfortunately, but and I know that
for a lot of other people, like this whole situation with the rent and mortgages like not being stopped or postponed in any way, like allows for I don't know you to be at the mercy of whoever is your landlord. If they are like I don't know a clever person, they might understand the situation. If not, it becomes problematic. I don't know.
Isn't it hard because like. Yeah, like my income pays my rent and then my rent is my landlord's income.
Yeah.
So like if my income stops, should his stop or should, and that like that's part of the economics of the entire thing, the stimulus packages and all the rest that's happening. But like my childcare, for instance, they've suffered like a 65% loss so far. And there's this whole, the government's going to subsidize childcare for free, and they're encouraging people to re-enroll their kids. But the email that we got the other day was, but you don't even have to bring your kid. Just re-enroll them so we get the money for them being here. But you don't have to bring your kid in. Like if you can re-enroll like for more days, 5 days a week, and then just not bring your kids in, excellent. Like that's essentially what they said, so that they can get as much money because they're obviously not getting the amounts of people and whatever that they need. So that's terrifying, man. That's the stuff for me that really scares me because you talk about essential services, childcare, schooling, things like that are the most essential service. So you get rid of that, all of a sudden you get rid of workforce and
there's like it's all a very interconnected system we live in. So you start realizing, for example, like I can use Italy as an example, obviously, because that's what that's where I'm from.
You are
like,
Italian.
Yes, I'm Italian. My girlfriend and my family are in Italy, very much in the north near Milan, in the area that is most affected and all that. And you kind of realize that, for example, that you stop like producing, like you stop the production levels of factories and stuff. Yep, sure. Like it's non-essential because you're only making this part, or I don't know, like you're creating tires that like at this moment are not essential. Sure. But then all of a sudden, because everyone's working with the minimum amount of stocking possible in all of Italy and in most places, all of a sudden, like it's not that, I don't know, trucks will not get a flat tire every day like they used to and all this, and all of a sudden there is no tires anymore, and so the trucks that are moving the food can't properly do it, and so it's just all connected and it cascades on itself so often. So it's interesting to see the repercussions of like small choices. And I was just discussing this over lunch. I am like, not that there was ever any chance, but I'm very, very lucky that I don't have to make any calls here, like not being a politician. I wouldn't want to be a politician today.
It would be so hard. It would be so hard. I'm really interested to see the outcomes on sort of socioeconomic standards and the recognition from the elite on the blue collar. Yeah. And because the elite think they run the country, right? Like the elite with the millions and billions of dollars, and they think, oh yeah, we're the utmost important people. And then now the things you're talking about, like it's not. It's the blue collar. It's the ground level. The people, the nurses, the teachers, everyone. The truck drivers, the people that are the mail delivery people. Those sort of people that are the absolute necessity, foundation of the economy. And that's coming from, like, right now we have a liberal government in that is meant to be, focused on creating surplus and all the rest. And not to get too political about it all, but like, oh man, like the entire point of them being in office is gone, and there's no opportunity for any party to come in and fix problems because it's so far gone and it will be for a long time. So I'm interested to see how we come out the other side. And I genuinely think that there will be harsher taxes put on the elite. I think that there will be a shift in the paradigm of the elite to the blue collar. And I think that people will, I think in the long run, I think things are going to be better for the little man because of it. I think there's going to be people going to go, oh, okay, we do actually need these people.
Yeah, we do need everyone, and we do need each other for sure. Like that's the outcome we all wish for. Hopefully, I got to close it here. But
no,
yes, because my camera battery is running low, and I know this is gonna go bad. But thank you so much for being with us and for letting us check in on you. And I will talk to you soon, Dale.
Hopefully, I didn't chew your ear off too much.
I could stay here all day. Thank you so much, my friend, and talk soon. Ciao.
See you later.